met him the first weekend that I moved to Texas, because the very first weekend I moved to Texas, I um, went to the ACA and Jamie was volunteering. He was running the phone lines. And after that, he and I met up to hang out, and we'd just stay up till the sunrise, fucking talking about what we wanted to do with the world, and how we wanted to make a difference, and we didn't know how, but
Yeah.
we connected over
That's
that
cool.
passion.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. You guys work so well together. I don't know if you noticed that when you're doing the show, but you guys play. It's like almost this chemistry that some of the other shows just don't have sometimes. So it's always amazing when you guys are together. Just so you
Well,
know.
He
How it comes across.
he and I have practiced for, I could definitely say hundreds of hours.
Wow.
And that was before Talk Heathen started. Originally, he and I were going to do a podcast. And so we practiced that, and then we practiced Talk Heathen in front of the camera at the ACA, and for a couple months. And by the time we were ready to go on, we were in sync.
That's cool.
I appreciate that, though. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you can totally tell. I mean, your friendship shows. I mean, you can see when you two guys are there together and interacting, you can see that there is definitely a friendship there. So the way you kind of make fun of each other and stuff sometimes too just cracks me up too. It's too funny. All right, let's see what we got going on here. All right. Oh, this is Snarky. Love the shirt. Yeah, she loves the shirt. This heathen shirt is I purchased with the Godless Engineer.
Is Snarky there?
Yeah, John and his wife, what's her name? Caitlin. Fuck. I want to say GE, like the product, like the oven or something, but yeah. Okay, right on. So there's some people hanging out now. Good, very good. Snarky, did you want to come in here? Because she jumps in sometimes, and her husband, Matt, who's also known as the Godless Iowan. So all these guys with the Godlesses in front of their name there, these YouTube people.
I've always been, around the Godless Iowan, but I don't think I've actually met him directly. Seems like a really great guy, though.
Matt's awesome.
Yeah.
He's amazing. He's another one as well. So GI said he would like to, but I'm on the phone at the moment. Okay. Well, let me see what I can do here. Oh, come on.
And a story missed your interview. I was at poker and I lost.
Yeah, but you lost? Well, you should have been watching the interview then, shouldn't you?
It's all good. I was a jackass and came in ridiculously late. So late. There was no good excuse.
Eric, you don't need one. I figured that it could possibly happen because you've got a schedule that you have to keep with. And I said, he may not even be on time because I would imagine it could happen because you're a busy guy and it's understandable. So I told you there's no hate at all for it at all. We hung out until you were ready.
Well, what I did is I double booked because usually when I go on other shows, I'm usually at least 15 minutes early, testing and all of that stuff to make sure that what I'm able to put out is the best quality humanly possible for whatever I'm doing it for. And everything was taken up, and I looked and I realized that I just didn't have anything together, and I grabbed my laptop, and I feel like I failed you, brother. I really, really do.
Well, please stop.
I'll make it up to you. I'll make it up to you somehow, man.
You need, because our conversation, I've had many of these, and there's always some that stick in my head, over others. But like the one I had with Evans Murphy, who's with us now, was another one that, touched me pretty good. And our conversation was amazing. So you don't owe me anything, dude. I'm some schlut up in Vancouver that just happened to say, "Hey, would you like to come?" No, it's like you don't owe me nothing, dude. You're a busy guy. You came in late, no big deal. We had our conversation. It went around an hour. I'm happy. You seem happy. You know, I mean, our conversation touched me quite a bit too, especially when we started talking about the adoptions and our families and stuff. I mean, I was welling up here, you know, manly tears falling down.
I missed manly tears.
You did,
Oh,
for poker. All right, you sinner.
It was a really good interview,
Eric,
especially that part.
Reese is asking, where's Reese's question? Which product you use on your hair? And he said that Neil keeps breaking up.
Oh man. Okay. So
hey, Matt.
Bible.
Hello.
Is this the Godless Iowan?
It is indeed.
Yes.
Son of a bitch! I finally get to meet you.
It's nice. Hi, it's nice to meet you. Yeah, I was in a stream with Jamie on Mr. Atheist channel, so this is the first time I'm meeting you. So it's nice to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you too, man. You was a really, really cool dude, and I was hoping I get to meet you. So rock on.
Awesome.
Look at
Well,
that,
thank
Matt. You fooled him. He thinks you're cool.
I was gonna say.
My mom says I'm cool.
Yeah. My mom says I'm handsome. So.
My mom says they don't understand me because I'm special.
That's right. Let me go get my helmet.
Actually, okay. I was going out to dinner with Aaron Ra a couple weeks ago, and he drives this monster, this big truck, and we're pulling.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're pulling up to a parking spot, and there's this tiny little electric car in there, and he goes, yeah, my dad would say that that car hasn't finished growing yet, you know, or something like that, hasn't been plucked yet. And Jamie goes, yeah, well, my dad would say that, you know, that car is more like a roller skate, you know, and you know, they're going through the car, you know, everybody, oh, well, my dad would say this. And I go, well, my dad would say, Eric, you're a fucking disappointment, but that doesn't really matter, does it?
That's hilarious. Yeah, my dad would say something not even related to the car, right?
Yeah.
So I do.
My dad
have
would
to
say
ask,
you could probably put that car in the back of the truck and then take his spot if there wasn't.
Oh, dude, no joke, man. We could have picked that thing up and stuck it over on the fucking sidewalk.
I do have to ask you about Arn Ra's truck. Is it beat up and used, or is it stereotypical Texas gigantic truck that's never hauled anything?
Oh no! It had a camper on the back of it.
Oh, let's see.
Not a camper. It was a camper shell on the back, and yeah, it's used. It's used.
That's awesome.
It's not a pavement princess then.
No.
I got a guy in my building has a pavement princess. I'm like, why don't you take that thing off road? He goes, it'll get dirty. I'm like, oh,
What's your point?
Yeah.
I knew a guy when I lived in Texas that had a truck, and he got really mad one day because a friend asked him to move some stuff, and he rented a trailer to to tow the trailer instead of putting anything in the back of his truck and scratching it up.
Wow.
Oh my lord.
Why bother getting a truck without using it, man?
Put a liner in that thing, man.
Yeah.
Fucking,
that spray on Rhino liner or whatever, that stuff is amazing.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's what I've got in mind. It's fantastic.
All right. So it's the same for boots, actually. I lived and worked on my family has 23 acres outside of Austin, and you know, I worked out on that property, and I see people wearing boots, and they kind of don't use them for their actual use.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm half tempted to run out to my car and grab my boot and show you the dirty, messed up, nasty cowboy boot. I mean, it's there for a reason, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But the question was, what do I use for my hair product?
Yeah. What do you use in your hair?
Geez, I got to go onto Amazon and check. I order it, and I've stuck with the same product, but fuck if I remember the name of it.
Brain fart.
Yeah,
She's never asked about what products I use for my hair.
Like you
It
use
was
any.
Reese that asked. I don't.
Oh.
My hair is straight as a whip, and nothing can change that.
You know, my hair used to be bone straight, and then I've done this twice now. The first time I shaved my head back when I was driving tow truck because it was a really hot summer, and I donated it to cancer patients. My hair grew back wavy. It was bone straight before.
My hair, if I don't brush it while it's damp, it'll maintain a little wave, but that's about it. And there's no way, not with my head, am I shaving it.
Well, I've done it twice already and donated it both times to cancer patients. So.
Oh, nice.
And the coolest thing.
My hair is not natural color, or it's got too many.
here we go. It's O'Dowd's Apothecary.
Oh, apothecary.
Yeah, O''Douds. It's the only product that doesn't make me break out.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah, I got a hand cream that I use for just that reason. It's the,
Yep.
I don't know, it's smells like cranberries,
Nice.
but it's Aveo juice or something by Opie. Either way, it's the only thing I can use on my skin because it doesn't make me break out or sneeze to death. You know.
I've got to use. I have to be very careful with shampoo and conditioner and hair products. So O'Dowd's is the only one that I've tried that actually doesn't fucking wreck my skin.
Yeah. Me, it's mostly sneezing and some skin problems, but mostly it's I'm choking. It's no good. But I did discover a Herbal Essences had a wild berry one. It was made with like blueberries and strawberries and raspberries and stuff. It smells delicious.
Sounds delicious, yeah.
But does it taste delicious?
I haven't tasted it yet, but you never know that we could get hungry one day in the shower.
It's funny. I bought a body wash that it just sounded manly, and I don't normally go for stuff that just sounds manly, but I was like, yeah, it's called Bear Claw, and it's made by Old Spice, and I'm like, yeah, this is manly, and I get it, and I get in the shower, and it smells like bubble gum.
Yeah, that is literally the body wash that my wife uses.
It smells like bubble gum.
I could go get the bottle now. She was smelling all the different, because she doesn't really like the super herbal stuff. So she was smelling all the man's body wash, and she was like, "This is what I want." I was like, "Bear Claw," and I was like, I thought, this sounds masculine. I don't know about this, but it's awesome.
I thought you were going to say, I like this woman. I got a message from Canadian Blood Services the other day because a couple of days before I went up and did the speech at the 20th anniversary. And this is really cool because I know they were doing this in Sweden. I think it's Sweden or Iceland they were doing this, where they send you a message if your donation goes to save someone's life or goes to be used for that. And I got a message. And it says that because of you, someone will wake up healthy tomorrow. So that's pretty cool that they're doing that now. I think that's awesome.
My first appointment's on the 16th.
I know. Thank you so much. And you've joined my Partners for Life group, haven't you, Nadine?
I will be. I just have to tell them when I go in, right?
I will send you a It's a picture, but it'll show you where you go on blood.ca to join the Partners for Life group. You'll be my
Okay.
200 and if maybe you'll be my 260th person or 259th person that's joined. So
Awesome.
I'm getting up there. I'm trying to break. My goal is to become Canada's largest single person started donation group ever. Because when I started this group, they said to me, you know what, you have to make a pledge. So there's, so make 50, 100 donations. I'm like, well, what were my dad's numbers again? And they said 532 donations. I'm like, okay, I'll tell you right now, we're going to break that number. And she goes, well, that's never happened in Canadian Blood Services history. So why don't we be conservative and we'll say 50 donations? And I'm like, well, you can write that down, but I'm telling you right now, with my presence online and yada, 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 bragging a little bit because I'm kind of a goof that way. But anyways, I said, I'll tell you right now, we're going to break that number. A year later, they had to call the media back because I broke that number by 1,240. Well, not me personally, but my crew broke that number by 1,240%. We did 681 donations in the first year. And we continue to do over 450 to 460 as a means, I guess, leveled out. But we do 500 one year, 425 or whatever. But it's always over 400 every year.
That was
Nice.
really awesome. But the idea of you giving that personally was pretty hilarious.
I just had to be clear, man. I just had to be clear.
Well, it's because of people like Neil that made it so that before my dad died, he could see his son again.
Yeah, that kind of thing makes me happy. I told you guys about when I walked out of 7-Eleven that one time, and the little lady tapped me on the shoulder as I was walking over there.
Yeah,
and and I'm like, yeah. She goes, are you that gentleman that I saw on the news that was doing the blood donation thing? And I'm like, yeah, that was me. She goes, can I give you a hug? And I was like,
aww.
I know, right? And I'm like, sure. And as she's giving me a hug, she goes, it's because of people like you. And this is going to make me cry. It makes me cry every time. It's because of people like you. I got an extra 5 years with my husband, right?
Oh.
I know. And I was blown away. And it was that moment that solidified that I was going to make this the biggest thing that I possibly could. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
That's wonderful.
You're killing me, dude. You're like the nicest, most kind-hearted person in the history of the world.
No.
You're like,
I think Gandhi's got me beat there.
Cool. Yeah.
Gandhi had some weird shit going though.
Yeah,
he did. And
but
by the
his
way,
philosophy was pretty cool.
Who do you donate your hair to? What society?
Canadian Cancer Society.
Good.
I don't think it's directly them, but there's a group where they collect hair from people that cut like huge chunks off, because I've got a lot of hair, right? So I think I'm breaking up again. Okay. Anyway, so they collect the hair, and I did it twice. So.
Good. Okay. The only reason I ask is because when the last time I grew out and donated, I found out too late that Locks of Love actually turns around and sells those wigs at a pretty disgusting markup.
Yeah.
It's real
geez.
bad.
No, the one I did was through the Canadian Cancer Society, and they are non-profit, so they're not trying to make money. So these are wigs that are created. They do cost a little money, but I think they're cheap. They're like $50-$60. And but I think Canadian Cancer Society pays for them because they get donations, right? Like cash donations as well. So
That's awesome.
yeah, right. Because I've lost many people to cancer, and I'm sure we all have, but it's pretty rampant.
Yeah.
So I do everything that I can to try and make people who are in these types of situations lives just a little bit better.
Cheers.
For the time
Cheers
that
to
they
that.
have here. Yeah.
Good on you, brother. Well, I do need to head back to my office.
I figured.
But it was really awesome meeting all of you, Neil. It's awesome talking to you.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That was nice to meet you too. If any of you haven't added me on Facebook, add me on Facebook. Godless IO and Matt, right?
Yes.
Reach
Yes.
out, brother. I want to talk.
All right. Awesome.
Find you.
It was nice meeting
Thanks a lot, Eric.
Thanks a lot.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a beer for me until I can get down there to have one with you.
Yay.
Will do. Will do.
All right, brother. Thanks again.
So I was going to say, a lot of people don't realize this because I have my hair somewhat long right now. But about 2 years ago, I had really long hair, and my mother got breast cancer, and she went through chemo and radiation and lost all her hair. And so I shaved myself bald then. So it's been growing back for a while, but yeah.
I see. I never knew you with that kind of hair, so I can't picture it right now. So
I know it's
And especially with those curls.
Yeah.
See, I
Like-
used to, like, once it gets real long, it gets straighter. It's a little wavy, but it's not as curly, and I enjoyed calling myself Jesus took the veal.
Matt's in the chat. You're guaranteed to crack up at least.
My
once.
hair is whipped straight, and when I was younger, I used to get poodle perms put in my hair once in a while, so that when I had my pictures for school,
Roll Tide.
I'd have some curl in my hair. It would literally take less than a month. My hair's whipped straight again, and like it started out that one day, it was like tight curls, and then it was poof.
I had a rat. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, when I was a little kid, I had what was called a rat tail. Do you remember what that was?
You sure you're not from Alabama?
Everybody had a rat tail in the 80s, and I had a midriff t-shirt and a rat tail when I was like 5 years old.
Bye.
It's still going on here. So
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
y'all are
that's too
killing me.
bad.
It's so surreal to like be in these hangouts, like with people that I watch on YouTube. It's like I watched Godless Island, and like I watched Talk Heathen and things like that. So it's really weird. Like, hey, these people, I watch them on a regular basis while I'm eating dinner with my wife. You know.
Nice.
It's surreal for me as well. I mean, I've only been doing this for 8 months, but getting to meet everybody, and it's weird.
Because I can't even imagine that. Like, theoretically, even if I started a YouTube channel, like something like that, to think that somebody would be like, "Oh my God, it's that guy," you know, that would blow me away. I don't even know how. Like, I don't know. There's this barrier between like internet quasi famous people and like regular people that probably shouldn't be there, but it is. It's a weird. Like, I'm like, that's Eric Murphy responding to what I just said. You know, laughing at my jokes.
Yeah. He is such a cool guy.
Yeah, and like I'm used to interfacing with high level people at my job, like, you know, with really, you know, 6-figure salary CEOs and things like that. So like the personal intimidation level isn't there, but it's just so weird. Like I watched that guy on Talk Heathen last week. You know, and here he is in this chat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I was the same way when I was in Aaron Raw's Google Hangout for his patrons.
Oh, I can't even imagine. Like
yeah,
I would
like I was like Eric was saying, I was just like, oh my God, like look, we have the same hair. He probably thought I was a fucking freak.
I will tell you, that's the most scared I've ever been when I interviewed Arn Ra. That was like the whole time my butthole was clenched. I was just, oh, don't say anything stupid. And like halfway through, I called him Aaron, and I was like, oh, why did I do that? I spent the entire day going Arn, 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 Arn. Not Arn.
Careful, because if you're doing that in front of a mirror and you do it 3 times, he might pop behind you.
Well, that's like the time I had Paulogia on. I called him Paulogia like 3 times.
I should interview him too, but I don't think he likes me. So
he doesn't like you.
I don't know. He never responds to me. So
he's incredibly busy. Like he's always doing something, and yeah, he's hard to get in touch with and get stuff worked out. He has such a crazy schedule.
No doubt. Well, I'll be talking to his other half in a little while, anyways. Miss
Yeah.
Q. So yeah, she agreed to come on.
But no, I was gonna say to Evans, it's weird because like there's levels of this like YouTube fame kind of thing, because like I'm like in my mind I'm a tiny channel. I've got just under 2,000. So when I'm thinking of like GM Skeptic and Holy Kool-Aid, they're big creators, but then they're thinking of other people that are big creators. And so it's weird because sometimes I'll follow someone on Twitter and they're like, "Oh my God, I've watched your stuff for so long." And I'm like, I've only been around for a short period of time.
That's so funny. It is the strangest thing. Hey guys, welcome Thomas and Satanic Apologist. How's it going, brothers? Eric had to go, so you kind of missed him. But he promised that he would hang out for a little bit anyways. And as soon as I mentioned Godless Iowan, he's like, "Oh, so you know him?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so I didn't even realize because I saw Snarky. So Matt, I didn't even realize you were even around. I thought you were doing another stream. Otherwise, I would have sent you a link right away. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that was kind of cool.
I know Squircifer, Satanic Apologist. I don't know Thomas.
Thomas Bear?
No,
Element X Designs?
I don't think I've been in a stream with Thomas before.
Oh no, I've done an interview on him or with him.
Okay.
Not on him. I was sitting on poor Thomas and doing an interview.
Neil, do you think I watch your stuff?
I'll tell you right now, I'd much rather have you partake in them than watching them. It's okay.
Actually, let me tell you, I was watching Non Sequitur and I saw that you were streaming and I was like, "Oh, we got to jump over to Neil." So
really?
Yeah. So I do watch your stuff whenever I see that it's on.
Oh, that's cool. I still have a few of yours that I've missed that I have to watch, but I've seen almost, I'd say 95% of your content, dude. That's why I became a patron. Yeah.
I troll folks way too much to watch anything on YouTube.
You don't even watch these kinds of things just to see what you're like?
Sometimes I'll view it. Like I watched the thing I did with SJ. And I kind of I'm sitting there. I'm like, what? Wow, I must have been extremely not really fucking my normal state of mind, i.e., smashed when I talked to her. And like I made that video criticizing her Christianity cures depression link thing, and I was completely sober, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, no. I'm an admitted alcoholic. I don't give a flying rat's ass. I'm 49 years old. I'm allowed to be. Fuck all of it. But no, I don't usually watch that myself. Anyways, I watch a lot of you guys. I watched Iowan. I watch yours. I've tuned into other ones. I've watched who are some of my other favorites. Really too many to name, I guess. YouTube tits. There's one or two that I really don't like, but that's just because I'm an abrasive personality.
That's why we love you. Thomas, how you doing, man? You were hanging out there down where Eric was there. He even moved the the laptop around so I could see you standing off there with your phone.
I'm doing good, Neil. How are you doing?
All right, man.
Hello,
I told him
everybody
to
else.
tell you
How are
I said
y'all?
hi.
I think I see Nadine there, right?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. I thought I remembered your face. How are you?
Yeah. Good, thanks. How are you?
Doing good.
Awesome. Well, except for the losing at poker, that's just no fun.
I've only played Texas Hold'em a few times, and I won $30 one time. The rest of them I lost like anywhere from 75 to 100. So poker's not my thing.
Well, we'll say 80% of the time I'd be at the final table, but yeah, not tonight.
Doing that good.
At once.
Okay, a whole
You're
bunch of
roboting on
roboting
this.
just happened.
I used to absolutely love playing online poker. And I would play penny poker. Like I wasn't betting a huge amount, but then they made it illegal in Iowa. And now nobody plays it like it's an actual game. Like everyone goes in all in every single hand when you're playing. And it's like just ridiculous.
Yeah, I used to
Not dude, you're starting to sound like Stephen Hawking, and his little computer thing is broken.
It's the fucking net connection.
I don't think that's me.
No, that's not you. That was Paul.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Thank you, Nadine, by the way, for sending the link. I've got
You're
about 1 minute
welcome.
before I gotta go.
I loved you anyway.
Actually, I have to go now.
I just sent you a link.
Thanks for letting me in. See you later.
Bye.
I gotta go. My battery's dying.
Oh, dude. All right. Well, we'll
See you later, man. See you later.
Bye.
peace out, brother.
Stay longer.
What happened?
Cut off the video. That should improve my connection a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot better.
Yeah.
You're now just the blue man.
I live in well, I could go with that. I could work with that actually. I look like one of those fuckers because I shave my head because I used to have extremely long hair before I joined the military. And after I got in the military, I never grew it out again. Started shaving my head after airborne school. And I've just been bald as fuck ever since.
And see, with me, I was raised Pentecostal, and there's a phone going off here. I was raised Pentecostal, and men do not have long hair. It's a sin for men to have long hair. So as soon as I got out of the church, I started growing out my hair and my facial hair.
Yeah, my parents shit bricks when I started growing my hair out. And then I got rebellious and I started skateboarding. And I shaved all of my hair off except for my bangs. And my bangs were down to the middle of my chest. And the rest, it looked like a backwards fucking long hair metalhead. And when I went to basic, they had fun with me before they cut off all that shit. But we wasn't allowed to have long hair, wasn't allowed to watch certain television shows, no Dungeons and Dragons, no rock music, nothing.
Oh yeah, that was the same thing for me. My mom would shut the TV off if even
smokes. There's literally two of me in there.
Like we would watch wrestling on the weekends.
I just joined
my mother would turn the TV off if the Undertaker came on because he was satanic.
Right. Of course. Well, wrestling promoted violence.
Yeah.
So.
Because the Bible certainly doesn't.
Well, yeah, of course you can't. You can't go there. Damn it.
Different whenever God does it.
Yeah.
It's righteous violence.
No
I
violence
grew up
in the Bible. Kill everybody.
Yeah, I grew up without religion. I remember no religion in my family. They didn't find religion until I was about 10. And I became turned on to music I discovered Kiss when I was like 8 years old. And then, I started playing music because of that. So I have the memory as a solid foundation of no religion in the household. And then when I was about 10, my parents went fundy and it was just, downhill from there.
Yikes! That would have been even worse to go through being free and then shackled to faith.
Well, I guess my question would be: did you ever buy into the fundy notion, or was there enough of a foundation there of freedom to keep you persevering?
Yeah, I bought into it. I bought into it to the point where I went to Tri-State Bible College, got ordained in the Southern Baptist ministry, and yeah, you could say I drank the Kool-Aid, but I still had that hint, that inkling of a doubt in the back of my head from the days of freedom. I remembered when I could rock out with Kiss and look like Ace Frehley or Gene Simmons and run around like that, and then, but you know, you're 10 years old and your parents get seeped into it. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's hard to determine where that breaking point would be.
Yeah, then
I didn't know any better.
Well, yeah, well, you know, you trust, most of the time you trust your parents, and wherever they go, however they do, you do as well, because you know they're your parents. That's what you're supposed to do. And I remember when I finally came out to my parents that I no longer believed and I was a full blown atheist. They my mom pretty much went nuts because yeah, you know, they were fundamentalist nutcases. They pretty much disowned me. My dad, even though he's in his late 70s, is senile, he still believes Noah's flood is a fact.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, no, that's yeah. Welcome. Yeah.
How could you think of like that story just strikes me as mythology? It kind of always did, even though I was once a believer.
Right. Well, I once asked my dad when I was a kid about the Noah's Ark thing, because we would have nightly Bible study, or we'd read the Bible before we'd go to bed, and Dad would read stories to us, and he read the Noah's Ark account, and I was like, well, where the fuck did the elephants go? You know, I'm a kid. I don't know any better. Where the fuck did the elephants go? Why didn't the lions eat the other? I mean, you know, the antelope. What about the rabbits, Daddy? How'd the rabbits find, you know, their way to the ark? And I got in trouble because I questioned the ark, because where the fuck are the elephants going to go?
Or the giraffes, even.
Yeah, even.
Or the sloths from South America. How the hell did they get there?
Or the blind Hawaiian cave spiders.
Yes.
I don't know if I ever questioned the Bible when I was a kid, but it never made sense to me. But when I was 13, we stopped going to church because we moved, and we only went to church because Mom's mom said so. So, you know, yeah, it never made sense to me. Like the Bible story superficially seems nice because everybody gets saved.
Right.
But there's something weird about it when you're a kid and you can't quite put your nose on it or a finger on it, and it's like, huh? And then Seth Andrews. I was listening to Seth Andrews one day, and he called it genocide. A story of genocide and incest. Yeah, and I'm like, ding, 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 ding. That's what the problem was. Of course, when you're a young child, like 5 years old, you're looking at a book with pretty pictures and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, really, you don't think about that kind of thing. But yeah, that's what it was. You know, I'm just like, yay! Why am I glad I didn't get sucked into that?
See, when it comes to my upbringing, my mom, she's 100% a believer. And when she found out that I was an atheist, she probably still does. Bawls her eyes out every single night, praying for my immortal soul, that I don't go to hell. My dad, I almost want to say that he is an in the closet atheist and just goes along with stuff for my mom, because he's never had a problem with it. And even growing up, if I ever had a question about the Bible, like, this doesn't make sense, and I'd go to him and he'd be like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Just don't pay attention to that part. Just move on. Just pick the parts that make sense.
Yeah,
So-
I remember stuff like that. Yeah, I used to ask my preacher questions. Like I noticed at a young, not a young age, but I noticed after I had started studies in my classes that there were discrepancies in the synoptic gospels and the Johannine gospel, and I asked our pastor at the time about it, and I got the rigmarole. Just don't worry about it, study and continue, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, you know what's weird about that when it comes to the Pentecostal faith is Pentecostals will say that John was a spirit-filled believer, which is why his is so different.
Right.
Yeah, I was told that by a minister growing up because I had those same concerns. I was like, well, why is John so different? Well, John was obviously a spirit-filled man, so he came at it from a different perspective than the other books.
Exactly.
It's like, okay. I mean,
I
at
didn't
the
have the
time, it was
heart.
like, sure.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have the heart to tell him, no, that's not really what it was. But now I don't have an issue with that. I argue with my dad still about the origins of the Gospels and all that shit. In fact, I'm taking a course now to further my education in biblical studies. So, and I'm a dyed in the wool atheist.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna finish my degree. I figure, fuck it. I started it. Might as well finish it.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just
Definitely.
a waste. Well, your better half says she wants to come in, man.
Yeah, she wants to join now. I was going to say the very first story in the Bible that absolutely never made any sense to me, even as a child, is the story of Balaam and the donkey. And it's because God tells these people to go a certain direction. And it says they woke up in the morning and they went out. And then God gets mad because they're going out. And sends an angel. And then it's just a story about animal cruelty after that. This guy beats his donkey until it has to speak. It's crazy.
It makes
I
sense.
think
Well,
the first one was definitely the Tower of Babel. Because,
And all the
even
talking
before
stuff.
that, it was strange to think that like the flood was totally Bible, but the Tower of Babel, I was like, so these people really thought they could build a building that went to heaven? And my fundy parents were like, of course. I mean, that makes sense. I'm like, well, what about the atmosphere? About space? Like, where is it? What's the spiritual place? Well, then why in the hell did these people build this tower? And why did God get mad at them? They weren't going to make it,
And have you gone back and read the Tower of Babel story?
Yeah.
They're not trying to build a tower to heaven. They're building a mud brick tower because they're proud of They're like, we can do this.
No. That was at the Sunday school level. Like,
yeah.
These people got together. They built a tower to heaven. God got pissed with them. Scattered them and did all the different languages. And there you go.
Exactly.
And you're like, but, and then you actually go back and read the story, and you're like, oh, well, that's nothing like, nothing like they taught in Sunday school. But
it's really weird.
That crap.
It's really weird because, like, with the agriculture, God didn't like the agriculture, and God didn't like them building bigger buildings. It's like God doesn't want progress.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
It's very strange.
Do you guys remember that webpage, landoverbaptist.com?
No.
Vaguely.
Does anybody remember atheistradio.com?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I was back around in those days, and I had a show on Atheist Radio or freethoughtradio.com, and it was called Body of Squirrel. And I used to hang out with this guy who did shit for landoverbaptist.com. Absolutely fucking hilarious. And in reference to the Balaam, the donkey, they had this little book thing, Donkeys Can Talk, People Can Fly, A Man Named Jesus Lives in the Sky. And I just thought that was absolute brilliance.
Oh, Landover Baptist, that was the satire site, right?
Exactly. Betty Bowers, the world's best Christian.
Yeah.
Hi, Snarky.
Hi.
Hi, Snarky.
Hi.
Hello, Snarky.
It's nice to meet you, Evans.
Nice to meet you as well.
I don't think we've actually spoken before.
No, this will be the first time.
Yay! Well, it's wonderful to meet you.
I love our little community.
Me too.
Yay! And it's been so long since we streamed.
Yeah.
It has. It's been a long time. I have not been like streaming a whole lot lately.
Yeah.
Would you
I
say
haven't-
it's been a long road getting from there to here? It's been a long time, but our time is drawing.
Roar!
I
Roar!
need a drink.
I'm gonna need a few more beers if this is gonna turn into karaoke night. But I will go get my guitar.
More importantly, it's a Star Trek karaoke.
Yes.
I know the song.
Because
I know the song.
faith
Eighth
of
the
heart.
fart. And my ass is itching. Yeah.
And Snarky, end of the month for you, eek. And then a week after,
Lady.
me.
I'm so excited. Hi, Faye.
Hi, Faye.
You too. Yay.
Hi, Faye. She's
Hey.
oh, there you go. There you go.
I forgot I had to plug it in.
Plug it in, plug it in.
That's-
Get out of my head, Nadine.
That's Faye the Furious, or Faye the Ferocious.
Yes.
She's
indeed.
Firebrand Faye.
Firebrand
I've
Faye,
been-
that's right.
I've been replaced though because of Silver Spoon, Bleach Blonde, Grinning Goblin. I told that to the 16-year-old today, and she goes, "Can I use that?" I said, "I think so."
That's like, and that was just it was on the tip of my tongue when I thought, what describes SJ well? Silver spooned, bleach blonde, grinning goblin. Okay, we're gonna go with that.
Perfect.
Oh
The
man.
Grinning Goblin though, it was like,
Oh,
ooh,
yeah,
it's like
I
the
kinda-
strawberry on the cupcake. You know, it's like,
I
Hey,
grinned
good
about
that.
that. That was funny. Although I like SJ. I don't know what it is. I have this soft spot in my heart because I'm trolling the shit out of it. And it's benign. It's like, you know, do you even realize what's going and she's a fucking business teacher?
Well, she's a
That's
human
what scares
resources
me about
teacher.
SJ.
She's
I'm
a
just-
human resources
Right.
teacher, and the thing is, it's like when you think about it, it's her job to keep people from going postal. So
In a nutshell, yeah.
right. So the more angry you are, the more she is capable of disarming you. So of course you like SJ.
See, I just don't know about SJ across the board. Like I've interacted with her on Twitter a bunch.
Oh, good lord, me too.
And
She's
the thing
kind of like Ann Coulter. She's a toxic Barbie.
like,
She is.
like I'm
But-
with Satanist on this one. Like I do like SJ. Like for some strange, which I have a soft
I
spot
do
for
not
her.
in any way, shape, or form like that woman.
Thank you,
and
Nadine.
So, and
Not
Right after
anything.
that last
but to be fair, I hang out with an inordinate amount. All of my best friends are theists and into apologetics and things like that. So I've got a softer view than most people do. And but SJ has the worst arguments, and that's what I just want to grab her by the head and go, these are bad.
That's why
so terrible.
that's why I love
Great
her.
arguments, but
Yeah,
you're using the worst ones. Her arguments are well, if evolution happened, then why are there still monkeys? That's her
Yeah, fuck.
argument for theism. And you're like, come on, lady.
I live with JWs, two of them.
Her
So-
her
I just, but this lady, I cannot stand SJ.
SJ's entire argument hinges upon one thing and one thing only: personal fucking experience. And that is all the woman has. And that's all she can trot out. And when you corner her to the point where she breaks out my feels, my magic dude makes me feel, then you can ensue the hilarity because it just goes right over her head.
Well,
And it's one of those things, and because I've dealt with like personal experience apologetics, and like if your reason for believing in the risen Christ is because he appeared to you, like, okay, I think you probably had some sort of hallucination, but you know, the thing with personal experience, and I think what it was David Hume that gosh, I'll butcher this, but revelation is a personal revelation is necessarily first person. It's never, never, ever should be used as a means with which to communicate some sort of apologetic. That's like me saying, "Oh, I deconverted from Christianity, therefore you should believe atheism."
Right.
Well, they're laughing at what was said in the chat that she's a evil stepmother of Tommy Lahren who's never experienced an orgasm.
Just so
Poor
Jen
person.
Juanette is just so.
Jen is awesome.
See,
I love her. I love her.
Reese. No, we don't always go running, buddy. I pretty much ignore
Reese.
her.
The one
Wait
thing
for
about
that last
SJ
one.
that concerns me is that I think she actually has medical conditions that she needs to go get addressed, and she doesn't.
yeah.
Well,
Like
her
she
I don't
entire
disagree.
is knocked
her-
to her knees. It sounds like she has a neurological issue.
her entire revelation story that she related on Twitter at one point reads exactly like someone that is experiencing sleep paralysis.
Yeah, no, I read that and I came to the exact same conclusion.
Yeah, and I've experienced it. And yeah, when I was religious, I thought they were demonic forces coming over me.
Yeah,
But now that
absolutely.
I'm not religious, I've still had a couple of times where I've had sleep paralysis. And yeah, it's fucking scary, but I'm like, this isn't real. This is sleep
Well,
paralysis.
I think it's funny, and maybe your experience, because you're saying that and I've had sleep paralysis both as somebody who was religious and somebody who's non-religious, and had religious experience, some things that I would classify as religious experiences in and out of religion. But it seems to me, and I'll see if your experience mirrors this. Whenever I had sleep paralysis while I was religious, this was a demonic attack, like 100% confirmed in my brain. That never crossed my mind whenever it happened. Like, yeah, it's scary, but you kind of have some sort of it's funny. It's like, why do atheists never get demon possessed?
Yeah,
it's the same
Right.
sort of thing, and it's similar in religious experiences because I was Pentecostal as well for a stint of time. So like, you can't tell me crap. I've spoken in tongues and been slain in the Holy Spirit and things like that. And like, I understand those from a different perspective now. And so at the time, whenever those things were happening, I was absolutely sure this is God. Like, you couldn't budge me. But
Right.
at this point in time, I realized that, hey, I've had very similar experiences going to a great concert.
yeah.
Or having an especially touching moment with my wife, or all of these other, listen to the radio, after a long drive, things like that. Like, these things that I would quantify as spiritual experiences, I've had the exact same or close enough to the same outside of it, and the notion of God never entered into it. And so that's why
That's
personal experience just doesn't really do it for me, because I've been on both sides of the spectrum.
Let me just tell you that Mrs. Snarky does something that goes above and beyond any religious experience I ever had.
I was gonna go there, but then I didn't know how crude of company we were in, and I knew there were ladies present. But
Well,
I'm glad you just broke down that door.
since GI is here, there will be butt stuff. There will be a conversation about butt stuff. But no, when it comes
Guaranteed.
to the personal experience, thing that people like to bring up as quote unquote evidence, the problem with that is it's more likely to be confirmation bias as opposed to like
Absolutely.
a real phenomenon of you connecting with some kind of spirit or God or demons or whatever.
Exactly. It's tinted by your worldview at the time.
Well, if you need a spirit, a god, and a demon,
You guys
to adopt
want? Sorry.
Roll Tide. Attaboy.
You guys want an awesome scare the fuck out of your ex story?
Yes.
I was I was apparently one night when we were in bed, I woke him out of a deep sleep because I sat up straight, looked him in the eyes, and said something in a language he had no idea what it was. Closed my eyes and laid back down. He thought I cursed him.
You know what?
Yes.
Evans mentioned being slain in the spirit. I was never once slain in the spirit, even when I was a Pentecostal. Like, I saw it done, but I know there was a part of my mind that said, if I fall backwards, I'm gonna get hurt. And I actually had a minister once that was praying over me, shoving my head backwards, trying to get me to fall backwards. And he basically open palmed, punched me in the forehead to try and get me to fall backwards. Did not happen.
What?
I believe it. They have the slain in the spirit too by the Southern Baptists, and they have the talking in tongues. And you know, when you can speak more than one language, you realize their talking in tongues is just fucking gibberish.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. They'll
And
never
the
say the
slain
same thing twice.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, and like my church, and not to interrupt here, but you know, my church, it was one of those that someone would speak in tongues, the tongues of men and angels, and someone in it would interpret. And you know, and I spoke in tongues and had someone interpret. I mean, it's like and there, I mean, there's a huge swath of Christianity that says that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
you know, that's all fake. There's no miracles, there's no healings, things like that. And I'm like, no, you know. And whenever I was on that side of the fence, I'm like, these guys don't know what they're missing. You know, they don't know God like I do. But now coming out of it, I'm like, look, you know, I'm prone to mystical experiences. Like, Lord only knows what would happen if I took LSD.
I've taken LSD quite a few times, and I've met aliens and God and 3-dimensional chessboards. I went to church after I had deconverted and after I had lived in Germany for a very long time, and nobody from my old church knew that I had deconverted because my parents will not tell anyone because they're ashamed of it. And I went to the church, and they were doing their shindig on a Wednesday night, and they had the speaking in tongues shindig. And I thought, what the hell? Why not? And I did the whole, oh my God, the Spirit's coming over me. And I started rattling off German, which I'm fluent in. Someone started interpreting it, which they didn't have a clue what the fuck I was saying. I was reciting, a beer recipe for Glühwein.
Oh man.
Und keiner Eier.
Yeah, genau, und keine Eier. 25 Gramm Haschisch, blah 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 blah. And they're like, and the angel of the Lord is saying, and you're like, bitch, I just said beer has hops. And if you put too much hops in the beer, you have shit beer. And Volkswagens are cheap ass cars, but they're cool as fuck because Beetles last forever. And the Hitler Beetle was the best because it has 2 windows in the back of it, and it's awesome. And they're going on about how great the Lord is, and I'm thinking, motherfuck, I should have taped it. I should have recorded it.
You know what's really interesting about the quote-unquote mystical experience? I've had lots of them. I was an occultist. Like, I did rituals every day just to get that mystical experience. And some of them were really trippy. It's all about, getting yourself in, like, this trance state, and also having, with that combination with the confirmation bias, I mean, it feels really real. So.
Oh yeah, one of the funniest speaking in tongues situations that we had was a lady in the church I went to. When she spoke in tongues, the only thing she ever said was "a titty I see," and so over and over she would be saying "a titty I see, a titty I see, a titty I see," and it's like, where? I'm not seeing.
That's my kind of church.
Where? How come I can't see this titty?
Yes, that's the mystical experiences I want.
the crazy,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, the crazy church experiences that I had, we could do a whole show on them. I mean, the Pentecostal church that I went to was radical. Like, they had the healing services where you had the people that came out of wheelchairs and I mean, it was, looking back on it, it's such a sham, and it's a known sham. But while you were there, like, hey, this is the real deal.
Exactly.
Oh, and when I was towards the end of my ministry, one of the last Sundays that I was in church, I preached, and like, this is my reasoning for belief that group hallucinations can happen, even if they're just through suggestion. People said that the power of God was so powerful on the church that people were floating. And I'm sitting there like almost an atheist. I'm like, no, I didn't see anyone floating. Oh, you had to have seen it. And it's like, no one floated due to the power of God.
Well, one of the interesting things. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh,
okay. Well, one of the interesting things that I learned through Bible college, and especially in the military, having progressed in the ranks and having been through certain schools in the military and having had to teach certain lanes in certain schools in the military, you can basically induce a group hallucination rather effectively, and in the larger ministries and ministries in general that practice this, you'll notice that at certain times of the year or certain times of the month, the sermons will be really heavily tinted towards tithing, or they'll be heavily tinted towards new member drives, or they'll need something, or there'll be a certain agenda that you need to put forth, and you tailor your opening songs, your opening salvo, your guest speaker. You set your lane up, and you show the people what you need them to see, that they come to the conclusion that you want them to come to, like Army leadership, effectively, influencing other people to do your bidding with the least resistance. And it's the same principle in the ministry, in the larger degree, because you can influence them subliminally and induce a mass hallucination to the point where they will be more relaxed to the idea of giving you their money, letting you slay them in the spirit, diddling their little penises and what have you. Literally.
Yeah.
When I worked and when I was a manager at a security company before I retired, we did the same thing with our training. We set the lanes up the same way and indoctrinated people in the exact same way that the military and the religion does. It's not that hard to do if you understand the concepts.
Does it work on everybody?
Some people are more susceptible to it than others. It really depends. You'll get your eggheads that are just too dumb to realize what's going on, and then you'll get your other people that are like, like a Hershey's bar in the sun. You can just melt them over whatever, and it's good to go. There's varying degrees, and you take different stances and different approaches depending upon the character of the person. And usually when you get the dumb nuts, the rocks, the strong rangers, basically the stupid idiots that go, that's a nest, I've got a fucking machine gun, I'm going to kill. You get those people, there's not much you can do with them. But you get the others that are susceptible to what you want them to be susceptible to. You can achieve a lot.
Oh, okay.
And it helps if you spike their shit with LSD beforehand.
I bet.
I never spiked anyone with LSD during a sermon. I can say that, but
yeah, that's kind of like, that's not cool because you don't have consent for them to be high. But okay, still funny.
But it's entertaining nonetheless.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
You got to remember, guys, I'm antisocial as fuck.
Last time I was drugged, I threatened their lives in such a way that they believed me. I never saw them again, and they lived down the road.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That
was
is a
very-
definite plus.
It's not cool to do that.
No, it's not. It's not. Absolutely not.
Well, I'm a, people, people don't deserve shit. They earn what they get. And if a person earns my ire, then, they've done something to set me off, and I really have no regrets about it. I'm too jaded to be optimistic about a lot of things, and I have very little patience for idiots, and that stems a lot from my military service. I just can't deal with stupidity. That I get really nasty and fucking trite with it, and I have to control myself on Twitter and on social media not to say shit that'll get me in legal trouble. And but people get what they they earn what they get. They don't deserve anything, but they earn it. You know what I mean? I have no idea. The alcohol I'm spending, that's a keyboard. That's what I'm saying. Yep.
I get it.
Oh. I was going to say some people are more susceptible to these things in regards to what Wonder Lady asked. And in churches, a lot of times people will come in, and if they're not susceptible to this, they're just kind of passed over. It's like, okay, so it's not going to work with them, so they're not spirit filled, or their life's not on the right track. That's why it's not working for them.
They're the natural man.
Yeah.
They're reprobates.
Reprobates.
Well, you'd be surprised. You'll say, like, the deacons will go out, and when new people come in, or when the people come in to file into the church, the deacons will go out amongst them, and they'll shake hands, pound the flesh, and ask certain innocent questions, and depending upon the answers, they know whether or not they got the fish on the hook.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And when they know they got the fish, I mean, if they're in the barrel, fuck it.
Fishers of men.
If you got the fish, fuck it.
If you got the fish in the barrel, fuck it.
It's disappointed because I like the idea of the group hallucination without drugs.
Well, it's possible.
I've never done it.
Go to a really big church service where they've got the music is orchestrated a certain way, the lighting is orchestrated a certain way.
Every
There's
time I go to church, I'm pissed off.
Well, then you're not going to get it.
Yeah, from my personal experience, there was is it Brownsville or Burnsville? I think it's Brownsville, Florida. They had this massive revival going on at this big Pentecostal church. And I mean, this church could seat probably 500-600 people. It was a big one, not including the choir and everybody else. But, and they had just an awesome band, just phenomenal. Some of the best live music I've ever heard, even if it was praise and worship music. But, and I remember going to the services as a smaller child, and the worship's so good, and people are speaking in tongues, and the pastor's giving a very succinct message, over the praise and worship music and stuff like that. And, all of a sudden he says, look up, the Spirit of the Lord is with us, just look up into the rafters. And sure enough, there was a blue diaphanous haze, not caused by smoke machines or whatever, but there was this massive group hallucination going on. And it was strange because myself and my father saw it 100%. But my mom didn't. She was like, I don't know. I guess I wasn't blessed by the Lord that day. And I thought then, even as a kid, I was like, what's going on here? But absolutely, it was there. The pastor said, look up, there's a blue haze. The Spirit of the Lord's with us. And there it was. But it was only there for a a section of the people. But
Right.
to this day, like I know what was happening now, I was hallucinating. But to this day, you could ask me and my father what we saw, and the stories would corroborate. And there were hundreds of other people there that saw the same thing. And so whenever the people get into the hallucinations don't happen, like, my experience is pretty anecdotal, but I can confirm with several people that saw the same crap that I did that was almost certainly a hallucination.
Exactly.
So,
well, yeah,
you know.
that's the thing. We know people are stupid, and we know people.
Yeah.
We know people believe things. You can fool an individual to believe something that they know's not real, but it's so tangible to them at that point in time that they can't deny what they're sensing or experiencing. And then, as an afterthought, either briefly or years later, they'll come to a different conclusion because they're not ensorcelled anymore, to borrow an occultic word, I guess, by the whole kit and caboodle. You remove yourself from it, and then you're able to look at it in an objective light. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. No,
It doesn't make your experience any less real. It's real experience, and I would never deny that. But you had it tinted through a certain certain type of glasses and worldview.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, there's absolutely no question about that.
So, I mean, a good example of this is when I was a child. When I was like 1.5 years old in a church service, I went into a seizure and my eyes rolled into the back of my head. And according to the church, I died. And so the church prayed, and on the way to the hospital, I came back to life. And so this mythos about my time in heaven was built up over the years, like people asking me, well, did you see anything in heaven? Did you do anything? And so as a kid, you start making stuff up. Yeah, I went to heaven. I saw Jesus. But by the time I got to be an adult, I was like, yeah, all this stuff happened because I built those memories up just by telling the story time and time again. And now looking back, I'm like, well, no, nothing happened. There's nothing. Like, I made these stories up. That's all it is.
You mean you lied?
Well, yeah. Surprise. Kids lie, especially if it gets them attention.
But wait, I thought
No.
children were innocent little angels.
No, we were born evil, remember?
Oh, yeah. That's right.
You've been hanging out with Calvinists, haven't you?
You don't have to. It says it in the original sin.
For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God.
Where the fuck did I go?
Why is it that Calvin gets so much shit?
Because his tiger's not real.
That's pretty good.
That was a good.
This may just be personal experience, but it seems like the reforms movement's back in full swing, at least in my area. Yeah, and people that I've interacted with.
I have no clue. I live in Germany. Germany doesn't give a flying fuck about religion. Personal religion, anyways.
I think we have groups that are becoming more liberal, but at the same time, that is focusing the fundamentalist crazies into smaller and smaller groups, but they're going to seem much louder and much more out there, if that makes sense.
It seems to be a trend within, like, the at least the Baptist, the Southern Baptist Convention, and I think they're attempting to separate themselves from the Methodists, which are becoming more and more liberal-esque. But it seems to me, at least the little bit that I pay attention to the Baptist Convention, is that it's sweeping more towards a reformed view of Christianity, which in some ways is significantly more true to the scripture, but in other ways it's significantly more insidious than, say, liberal kind of easy believism,
Yeah.
So because of the predeterminations and the elect and reprobates and things like that, it's the doctrine has a in my estimation, it's significantly easier to turn that into a hostile a group of people.
Yeah, and
Or
from
theocratic, maybe not like physically hostile, but much more active in promoting a Christian-based society instead of a secular or let's all just get along society.
Yeah.
The aggressive tone of a theocracy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna let you go.
Oh, okay.
Bye.
Bye, Nadine.
Later.
Nadine.
See you later, Nadine.
Nice to talk to y'all, and
Sleep
and
well.
Snark, you too, honey, and I hope your head's better.
It's much better than it was.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay. Have a good night.
Mwah.
Bye.
I was going to say the danger that I see in having this almost dichotomous Christianity, where you have the very liberal and you have the very fundamental, is, from what I've seen, liberal Christianity does not really provide many like hard set answers. And so if you're a person that wants answers, and you go to your liberal pastor and it's like, well, this is the mystery, or this is such and such. And then you go to a fundamentalist church and they say, oh yeah, that's because of the gays. And they're giving you answers. It's a draw. It's a draw for a lot of people to actually have hard set answers.
Yeah, and that's kind of the whole thing with religion is they can give an answer where, I mean, it's not a real answer, but they have one.
Yeah.
And that's what people want. They want certainty. They cannot stand the unknown. It makes them uncomfortable.
Exactly. They need to be, to a larger or lesser degree, they need to be told what to do, how to think, and how to live. Because there's no manual given to you when you're born, and there's no set right way to do something. And they need to be told what to do to a larger or lesser degree. Some people like to strike out on their own, but the majority of people are basically sheep. And they look for a shepherd.
And this is something that I've talked
Well,
about,
that
especially
explains everything.
Especially like in relation to why people are more willing to believe certain things over others. And, because I've got a friend and we're good friends and he's a theist, but, he'll ask me something. We have theological or the great debate discussions often. And he'll ask me something like, well, where did the universe come from? And my answer is I have no clue, and for him, that's like a deeply troubling admission. Like, and he asked me one time, he says, that doesn't just keep you up at night? I'm like, no, man, I don't really care. There's several good theories out there, but like, what does the beginning of the universe have anything to do with me right now, in small town Alabama? And so, I've wondered and it's almost certainly the case that people have different levels of evidence that they'll accept as knowledge or truth claims or however you want to put it. But even just the basic instinctual drive, I think that some people would rather believe a comforting lie that's certain versus an uncomfortable uncertainty.
Oh, definitely.
Because for me, the question of the origin of the universe, like it's a intellectual curiosity, like I'd love to know, but it's not like I'm going to be sitting up tonight going, oh my God, if I don't figure out how the universe started, I can't continue my day tomorrow. Yeah. But I know people that at least, even if they were to come away from Christianity, would probably still be deists for the comfort that, well, something started it all, even if it's not personal.
Right.
So
the funniest evidence that someone has ever presented me as definitive proof for a god, we had this guy show up at my workplace once, and he was talking to my boss, and he was showing him some pictures on his phone, and he showed him this one picture, and he goes, I tell you what, you show this to any atheist, they ain't going to be an atheist after they see this picture. And my boss was like, oh, well, my accountant's an atheist. Can he look at the picture? And I walked over there, and it was fucking clouds. It was a picture of clouds that this guy's pareidolia had pictured Jesus and an approaching army or something coming in the clouds that he had taken. And I was like, it's clouds, dude. But don't you see Jesus? No, it's clouds. It's just clouds.
Yeah, I don't waste time. The universe is not going to pay my rent, so why should I give a shit about the universe?
Yeah.
Or how, the origins of the universe. And to a degree, I don't want to know, because that leaves fantasy wide open. And the universe could have started in so many different ways, and it's better not knowing, because once you know, you can't go back. Once you spill the milk, it's spilled. You're pretty much screwed. And I like that. I like to have that uncertainty, because there's that tickle, that rush. It's like, can I take 12 pills now or 13? Let's find out. You don't know, and you gotta. and not knowing is the entire battle. Fuck knowing is half the battle. Not knowing is the entire thing, and it keeps you alive, because there's that fantasy, and you'll wake up the next day because, I read the last page of the story. We're all going to die one day. You can't escape that. So why do you need to know everything, and why do you need to be assured? Fuck it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of one of those, okay, I'm certifiably mental sounding things, but the only thing that 100% is going to happen to you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is you will die eventually. You might be an asshole, or you might be a great person, but you're a finite asshole. And you're a finite great person, and eventually you're going to end. And within 20 years of you ending, no one's going to remember you. And the people that might remember you will barely remember you. And then 20 years from then, nobody will remember you at all. Well, except for now, we've got the internet, and whatever you do is there forever. But you know what I mean. And if you have all the answers, then, why take the fucking test in the first place?
See, that's horrifying to me, actually. Here's my great grandfather. Here's my great grandfather when he told his deconversion story. Here's when he dressed up as Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs and danced on live stream.
It's like I told a story to one of my buddies, because he's weird, and I'm like, look, dude, this one night I went out to the bar, and it was awesome, and we were drinking, and we were having fun, and I met this chick, and she was hot as fuck, and I'm like, this is going to be a good night, and I ended up going home with this chick, and had fun, and eventually passed out, and I woke up to the strangest thing, and he was like, what'd you wake up to? And I'm like, she was peeing, and he's like, so? And I said, she was peeing while standing up. And it took him a couple of minutes to grasp what the hell I was talking about. And then he just got that, and that story is somewhere on the net. And then when somebody thinks, hey, you're a pretty decent dude. Oh my God, you slept with a dude. They're going to find that story, and they're going to listen to it, and they're going to be like, what the fuck? And you'll forget that you even told the thing.
Oh yeah, like life is so fun. Like I don't
see any problem sleeping with a dude. So
there's so much crazy stuff that happens throughout life. Like I was introduced to one of my friend's girlfriends, Jenny, and Jenny was a mule. And yeah, there's a story of me going out into a pasture with this guy, and he's like, "Here's my girlfriend," and I'm like, "This is not cool. I'm not. No."
Anything's cool if you got enough viewers.
But I'm like, I mean, that's the stuff that happens in life. And a lot of times I'll tell a story and someone will say, if that happened to me, I would never tell that story. And I'm like, why? It's funny as fuck.
Just for the Just for the record, I would like to say means no.
Well,
no,
unf-
no, no, no.
unfortunately, I don't speak donkey, dear.
No, you don't have to speak donkey. You just have to speak mule.
Oh,
Oh, but I mean, there's so many weird stories throughout my life that I just completely admit to and tell just completely honestly because it's funny. And people say, "Oh, you couldn't have gone through all that." And yes, I did. It's hilarious, and you just
It
don't
is.
admit to the crazy stuff that happened to you.
Well, it's not crazy because it's happening to you. This is everyday. This is everyday normal to you, And my friend's like, dude, you've led a really fucked up life. What? And I'm like, well, no, it's been normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing because and something that happened recently. I met an operator at a plant that he was telling me about his life. And he's been working at this chemical plant for 45 years now. Hired in whenever he was 18, and he's telling me every day I get up, make my eggs, I make my bacon, I eat breakfast, come to work. This is 5 days a week. On the weekends, I cut grass, I watch football, I go fishing, go to church on Sunday, and then go back. And I'm like, so that's, have you ever been abroad? No. Well, where's the furthest you ever gone? Oh, well, we went to, like Birmingham one time, 3 hours away, but we don't get out, So this dude has had the same routine. Like, this guy's going to croak within the next 20 years, realistically. And I was thinking to myself, I thought, what a life to lead that for the last 45 years, you've kept the same daily schedule every day, doing the same dang thing that you did the last week. And it really, like, if that's what makes him happy, more power to him. But couldn't life be so much more, especially in light of the fact that, the Satanists so eloquently put it, we're all going to die. But, like, grab it by the horns. If you get some crazy, screwed up stories along the way, more power to you. Like, hey,
Exactly.
that's what it's all about. As long as you don't violate any consent and, don't screw with anybody else too terribly hard, then do your crazy stuff. Who am I to say that whatever you did was wrong?
But you got to stay alive.
Well, that's true until you die, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I've done some things that quite honestly I could have died many times over. And in hindsight, I would never have done it ever. And in all of my days, and I would not repeat the same thing over. And then I sit back and I think, yeah, I would.
Neil?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Neil?
What?
My Twitter handle is @thegodlessiowan.
I know.
Jesus.
Comment. I know. I fucked up.
Jesus.
But I do want to kick back on one of Satanist's points earlier, just to clear the record for any future generations that might be watching this. For me, at least, understanding something doesn't destroy the majesty of it. Just because I know how rainbows form doesn't mean that I can't look up at it and go, hey, this is the coolest thing ever. At least for me, the knowledge of how a system works only adds to its, I hate to use this metaphysical language, but only adds to the majesty of the entire system. Like, I do experience excitement at the unknown. But for me, if I learned the origin of the universe, beyond a reasonable doubt tomorrow, it wouldn't make the majesty of the universe any less potent for me, even if we realized, hey, that's God. At least in my case.
I agree. I agree completely. I mean, I take that viewpoint, but I agree. I agree with it completely. I know how like some of my favorite music, I can repeat it and I can play it. I know how it's constructed. It doesn't make it any less majestic every time I hear it. I mean, there's still that. It's just,
Yeah, and then there's the intrinsic value that you tie to certain things. Like, I can take a Stratocaster or a guitar or something like that, and you can have the exact same one, except it wasn't played by Jimi Hendrix. And the one that was played by Jimi Hendrix doesn't have any physical qualities that it elevates it against the same guitar from another place. But at the same time, the one that was played by Jimi Hendrix, if you knew, hey, Jimmy laid his hands on this, there is a certain amount of sort of sacred or majestic or metaphysical. There's something intrinsically tied to that.
There's something that makes that object magical that's not like yours. I understand that completely. I have a set of drumsticks from Peter Criss from Kiss that I got at a Kiss show, and I have multiple different instruments that I've traded with other instrumentalists throughout the years that have, really magical stories behind them. And it's just a lump of metal with strings on it, but there's that magic tied to it and the story that makes it a little bit special. And I get that 100%.
Yeah, and so I think that there is a hard lock to determinism. And I like I don't know if any of y'all have read The Big Picture by Sean Carroll, but I think he does an eloquent job in certain points laying out, that even though that you could think about the universe in a hard deterministic fashion is a string of entropy and things like that, that if you get down to the macro level, we're all just atoms floating in space, but there is something poetic to the world, and I think that's an important point to keep in mind, at least for myself, through especially whenever I was going through the process away from faith, So
I get it 100%. There ain't no wrong answers.
Not saying that Sean Carroll's the end all be all, but I do recommend reading the book. It's pretty good in certain areas.
I have to check it out. I wrote it down on my list of stuff to read.
I recommend the audiobook.
Hey guys, this has been a lot of fun talking to you all, but I'm gonna have to get off of here and get to bed. So I really enjoyed it.
Yes, it's been fun.
Absolutely.
Really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go as well. But thank you for having me, and it was wonderful to meet y'all or meet Evans. I think I've met everybody else here.
Yeah, well, great that you could jump in.
All right. Bye, everybody.
See you guys later.
Have a good one.
But yeah, we still need to do the super book.
Yes. I'm going to be out
tomorrow?
for most of tomorrow, though.
Okay, well, we can do it later.
So I need before you go. Sorry, carry on, Wonder Lady. Sorry.
I was going to say I'll contact you as soon as I walk in the door.
Okay.
But Snarky,
Yeah.
you have to do your deconversion story on my channel too.
Oh, I do, huh? Well, which one do you want? When I came out of Christianity or when I came out of Woo?
I'll take both of them. We can discuss both of them because I have similar thing too. So
cool. Okay, yeah, just like DM me and we'll set something up.
Sure.
All right, y'all. Have a good night.
See you later.
Bye.
Hell, it's 5 o'clock in the morning by me.
Holy crap, dude!
I hate to say it though, but I never did the whole "what's the meaning of life" thing.
42.
Well, yeah, of course.
If you have to ask that, you don't get the fish.
Yeah, no.
Well, you get the fish.
Don't forget your towel.
I love Douglas Adams, but I mean, when I was growing up, I didn't do the whole "I need these answers."
I met him. He was living here for a while.
Really?
Cool.
Met him at a Starbucks. Yeah, met him at a Starbucks. I went, dude, you look a lot like Douglas Adams. Because I am. And I was like, whoa, fuck.
Nice.
Talked to him a couple of minutes anyways, and then we had to go across the street. So but I got to meet him, shake his hand, say hello, tell him I love his work, that kind of thing. It was pretty cool.
It's fantastic.
That shit's awesome. I've had the opportunity to meet a couple of my heroes as well. It's always a special thing where you can be like, dude, thank you for the years of entertainment and help and therapy that you gave me.
Look at this guy. He likes it when when I come in here and I turn on the tap for him. All right, that's enough. You got your own water right there. Fuck.
Oh, it's about breakfast time for the mouse.
Mouse.
Mouse. Oh, my cat's name is Mouse.
Oh.
So we let our kids name our cats. We had 2 kittens show up at the doorstep, and so we're like, hey, what do you want to name these cats? And I got a 4 and a 6-year-old, and so it was right whenever the Yanny Laurel video hit, and so we're like, what do you want to name these cats? And they were like, Yanny, Laurel. And so we now have 2 cats that are named Yanny and Laurel, which is hilarious whenever you have somebody come over. Because we'll just call them both Yanny or both Laurel. And then whenever they're asking, they're like, well, they have the same name? No, it's Yanny. And do the repeat of the video. But the moral of the story is unless you're willing to have ridiculous names, don't let your kids name them. Because we have a dog named Pasta as well. So
Pasta?
Pasta.
That works perfectly. I found that my cats' names always start out different for what they become. Like Mouse was originally named Hobbes after Calvin and Hobbes, but his personality developed and he became the Mouse. Spot, my older cat who passed away 5 years ago, he became the Butts or the Butler, just because of his mannerisms and personality. And Mimi became the Boo, the terror of the universe. And I don't know what Mouse is going to become when he gets older. He's only 6, and he's a little terrorist as it is. But I want to get him a little brother or a little sister, but I'm not allowed.
Why?
Uh-oh.
Because I have one cat, I should be happy. because when I say he's a terrorist, I mean it literally. He breaks shit. He is obnoxious. He runs the house. He doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, my cat would kill another cat. She hates all cats.
Oh, jeez.
If you pet the outside cat, my neighbor's cat, and come into the house, she freaks out.
Well, I don't know if he would be violent towards another cat because he lived with the butler for 2 years before Butler passed. So he's been around other cats. I don't know if he would accept a cat now because he's been on his own for 5-6 years, or not 5-6 years, 4 years now.
The other cat broke in here and she hit him so hard that her claw was stuck in his forehead.
Ow.
Ow. It's a bad day.
I had to take him outside and take the claw out. I was like, are you okay? And he's like, no.
Did he ever break back in?
Me. And I go in and she's cursing. And I'm like,
holy
okay.
cow.
Yep, that's a cat.
Yeah.
Well, we have.
She's a Vermont barn cat.
Christy's got 5 cats.
I would love to have 5 cats. I'm not allowed to have 5 cats.
They're named Delilah, Monkey, Pippa, Sugar, and Pumpkin.
Cool. There's a neighborhood cat named Mr. Kidders.
Mr. Kidders?
Mr. Kidders. And then there's another one that I named Kittler, because he's a little fucking Nazi. And I mean, he's that typical neighborhood cat that just beats everything up, fights everything, attacks everything, has no fear, looks like a complete asshole, tore up, missing ear, tattered, broken tail. He's Kittler.
Hilarious.
I love cats. And I will go up and I will pet a cat in the middle of the street. But when I see Kittler in the Gasa, on our little our little alley. It's called a Gasa. When I see Kittler, I just stick to the side and I avoid him, because whenever you see Kittler, it's not a good thing, because he'll be like, "Motherfucker, are you on my street? You came to the wrong neighborhood." And he will chase you if you go on his porch. Love him to death, but I'll avoid him.
My friend had a Maine Coon named Boopsie, and Boopsie terrorized everything from German shepherds to
Oh
well, he once dragged home a 30-pound raccoon.
Oh God.
Boopsie killed everything, everything, and people would complain. They'd be, your cat was picking on my dog, and your cat is massive, and your cat, it's like, but Boopsie was the runt of the litter. It was like, but Boopsie's tiny for a Maine Coon.
Oh
It's just a poor
Jesus.
putty cat. You know, one time we came home and we thought Boopsie had chicken. That another one of his brothers gave Boopsie chicken. It wasn't chicken. It was baby bunnies.
Oh, that's the
Because
thing of nightmares. Boopsie. Oh my God, that's Carmine from where I was growing up. We had a cat in the neighborhood called Carmine. I don't know what he wasn't a Maine Coon, but he was this large black alley cat, and he would kill any and everything he possibly could.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why some this is a little sexism coming through. I think this is why some of the guys I've dated didn't like cats, because they saw them as competition. I'd say, he's a better provider than you. Look, he brought home dinner. And there'd be like little mouse heads by the door. They're like, "You're disgusting." It's like, look, he's trying to provide. What do you bring me?
Well, my cat is jealous of my wife. He will not let my wife near me. And I mean this literally. If I'm sitting on the couch and she comes over to sit on the same couch with me, he will get up from where he is, plant himself between us, and look at her until she gets up. And like if she, yeah, and if like if I need my back popped or something, when it gets into bad shape, we have to lock his ass out, because he'll smack her because he thinks she's attacking me. And if I'm anywhere in the house and all I got to scream is, "Mouse, help me," and he'll come running in looking for my wife.
Oh my goodness.
I think it's hilarious. Petra's not too thrilled with it, but I think it's fucking hilarious.
I like that, actually. I like that a lot.
Mouse, he doesn't let any. I am his. I belong to him. He's like, "This is my human. I will kill you." And for anybody, it doesn't matter. If friends come over, they're like, "Oh, he's a pretty cat," and the first thing Petra will say is, "Don't sit next to Mark," and they're like, "Why?" And she's like, just don't do it and find out, but don't. And they will, and he'll come and sit down between us, and he will look at them, and he'll put his paw on them, nice and soft like, and they'll think he's trying to be cute and pet him, and then he's like, "Fuck, motherfucker."
Yeah.
And claw them, and they'll get up and go sit on the other couch. I think it's hilarious.
I think that's funny too. I had a Russian blue like that.
Boo was a Russian blue. Beautiful kitty.
Russian blue, like my grandmother's great grandchildren would come over, and Morgan didn't like kids. He didn't like anyone who was an immediate family. So they'd have to go to the bathroom, and I'd have to lift them over the cat to let them go, because he would slap them. And as nasty as I went through 3 vets just trying to find him a vet that would handle him because he was so nasty. But he was only nasty to strangers. But I finally found one vet. The nastier that he was, the more the vet liked him. He was like, "Oh, he's so perfect," all that other stuff. And it's like this. I'm looking at the vet like, you're crazy putting your face that close to him. He just loved him, and like Morgan would be like foaming at the mouth, like some deranged thing. And oh yeah, my grandmother though was so into that cat, but he would beat the crap out of anyone who wasn't family.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Mouse. That was Boo. Nobody was allowed to touch me, period. Not even Butler. If Butts came near me, Boo would come and smack him off the couch. They hated each other, and they grew up with each other since they were like 2 weeks old. They were litter mates.
Oh, I don't think you should get another cat because it sounds like your cat would be lonely. Mouse isn't gonna share.
No, I don't think so either. I just like cats. I like cats better than I like people.
So do I. My grandmother was only 4'10", and she would hold Morgan under his arms and walk with him, and his hind feet would drag on the ground because he was so long. And she'd be like, "Oh, we're gonna take a nap now." Like, Nana, he's too big. You're dragging the cat.
Oh God.
It was so cute though. He loved her, but yeah, he lived to like 23.
Oh wow.
Son of a gun.
Yeah.
That's a ripe old age for a kitty.
Yeah. The sad thing is he was accidentally poisoned, so I don't know how long he would have lived actually. Oh,
Yeah,
my cousin's cat lived to 25, and she drowned.
That just breaks my heart. Boo lived until 16, and she had a stroke. She was sick for a few days, and then one day it was just too much for her. We called the vet to come put her under, but before the vet could get there, she stroked out.
Oh. Yeah, Squeaky went on the neighbor's swimming pool, and yeah.
Ow. And then Butler lived till 15. Yeah, 15, and we had to put him under because he had his liver was so eaten with tumors. He had liver cancer, and
that's a shame.
yeah, he had to be put under. It wouldn't have made any sense to let him live longer. It was just too much.
Oh shit! Did you guys see this?
What?
Largest coalition of Christian churches in the U.S. are demanding that Kavanaugh nomination be withdrawn.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
How the table?
Really?
Yep.
Do you have the link? Can you put the link in the chat?
Read
that.
Well, I found it on my phone here, so I will retweet it, and you can check my.
Okay.
Interesting.
That's amazing.
I'll have to be honest. I haven't followed that one bit at all.
I can't help it. What do you call it? I have the NPR on my radio in the car, and that's all they talked about today.
It's absolutely disgusting from every possible angle. It's my estimation.
I'm going to be covering it when I do my feminist stream.
Oh, I'm so happy that I live in Germany.
Yeah, there's not a side that's not absolutely reprehensible in this that I can see, and I don't know. My problems with the guy started long earlier
Mr. Beans.
than the nominations. Like even whenever he was on the short list, his stances on the First and Fourth Amendments are abysmal. There's not even a conservative alive that should back this guy.
I've since I no longer live in America, I have absolutely no sense of American politics or anything that would make anything important to anybody, because I'm no longer in the service, so I don't have to pay attention to that. And German politics, I don't pay attention to either. I just pretend I don't understand German. I have a pretty sweet life.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. If I didn't live in the U.S., I wouldn't be interested.
I mean, I can understand how people get all uptight about everything. I understand people taking offense with whatever, but it might sound callous to a certain degree, but it's not within my sphere of influence. It doesn't affect me. Trump is an absolute asshole, but he's on a different continent. You know what I mean?
I totally understand that, because I keep abreast of world politics as well as with as much time as I'm willing to sacrifice to what's going on in the rest of the world. But it's bad whenever it's close to home, and especially whenever we're on the verge of a weird theocracy. I hate to say it, but with
it's been sliding that way for a while.
Yeah, the regressive, as the pendulum swings back from the left and we get closer and closer to the regressive right, people like, in my state, Roy Moore, and we've got Jeff Sessions, who's from here, especially in my neck of the woods in South Alabama.
Oh yeah, you live in the middle of literal hell, practically.
Yeah, no, I'm in the Bible Belt. It's just, also the gay porn belt, and the teen pregnancy belt, and the opioid belt, and the other things. But
I used to live in Ohio, which is like the meth capital of the world.
Charming.
My neighborhood is literally number 4 in the world in meth addiction.
That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely charming.
Yes, and when I get interested in stuff like that, I just get depressed, and I'm depressed enough as it is from the other shit that I've experienced in life. I don't need to add to my depression, so I really try not to follow stuff like that.
Well, then I won't talk about the other thing I know about.
Oh, go ahead. Feel free.
Well,
now you got me curious.
How I think it was Oklahoma court systems were working with religious reforms, work reforms, like you had to go back to jail, and they sent them to chicken factories, and basically these slaughterhouses and stuff, people were getting hurt. There was no workman's compensation. They weren't insured, blah blah blah, and they weren't paid for their work, and they would have to be there in some cases for years, and they had no rights to sue or anything, and the whole thing's been in jail, is back in the courts.
And just in case anybody's wondering, a chicken plant is probably the worst place to work on planet Earth. As somebody who has worked in a chicken plant in construction.
Thank you for saying that, because I told someone that, and they said, so at least it's a job. And I'm going, no, this is awful.
No, it's absolutely terrible, and that's me going in there and being paid well to do what I do. And I can't imagine working for. I would, literally do anything else.
Do you imagine having to do that for quote unquote free?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've worked in almost every industry, from nuclear power to hazardous chemicals to, you name it. I've probably worked in that industry before, and by far, slaughterhouses are the worst working conditions.
I couldn't deal with it. I worked in the worst possible job that I think that I could ever possibly do when I was in the field artillery. And I know for a fact that we killed a lot of fucking people beyond a reasonable shadow of a doubt, solid 100%. And I can't deal or live with that. So there's no way I could live in it, or I could deal with a slaughterhouse or shit like that.
Well, the thing is, it's court mandated though,
Mhm.
and it's religious. So it's either it's these enforced work camps plus Bible study.
Yeah, that would get my ire up, I think.
And
That
if you're sick
forced
or
religion shit.
something, they just threaten you with jail. And some of the
Indentured
people who
servitude.
were hurt because they got either caught in chains or in the machines or something, what do you call it? They didn't get
Been
compensated.
clean.
They didn't get, huh? Oh, okay.
Sorry, roommate's home.
Oh no, it's fine. Like they retrospectively after they've served their term, they're like, I
My
should
bad.
have just gone to jail.
No, I mean, there's even that, work release, and I believe that's in all states. I know it's here, where you can hire people
Yeah,
out through your local system for
yeah,
next to nothing.
that was in Ohio. They started that in the late '80s in Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember what the rates are, but I've known companies that have done that. Luckily, in my field, that doesn't happen, but local entities have done it, and I mean, you pay them next to nothing. Like you pay the jail for the person, and the jail gives them $1 an hour, 50 cents an hour, or whatever it is, and it's all perfectly legal.
Yeah.
And like for the prisoner, it's even if it's crappy work, it's like, well, at least I'm outside,
Right.
which is terrible.
He's not in jail.
Like, yeah, and this guy's in here for pot charges or something like that. So get me started on the criminal justice system.
Well, that's another reason why I chose not to live in America, because growing up in the it was shitty in the '80s. I can only imagine what it's like now. And I wanted to get the hell up and out of that. I mean, like in the neighborhood I grew up in, you couldn't go out of the house unless you were strapped with some kind of weapon, preferably a firearm, but at the very least, a very, very sharp knife that was easily accessible. And you couldn't go to the store in the middle of the afternoon without worrying about something happening. And luckily enough, over here where I live, you could be butt naked in the middle of the courthouse square at 2 a.m, and nobody's going to give a shit. And they'll even be like, "Hey man, can I help you get home?" Which is, a very, very welcome environment compared to what America basically is. I kind of hate on America, I guess, because I grew up in a real shitty part. But
well, I'm not proud of it.
I have a love-hate relationship with America. It's similar to my relationship with Alabama.
I have issues with extreme patriotism.
Oh yeah, no, there's nothing in my mind. There's nothing dumber than being extremely patriotic over some imaginary lines on a map.
It just doesn't float my boat.
Yeah, for a number of years, I did the whole patriotic bullshit, and I had my share. And when I got out, I put the shit down, and I never went back to it. Didn't even consider it.
Well, it's
all of that
scary right now.
I could imagine. My sister tells me horror stories about Dayton nowadays, and it was shitty back then. But now, what she's telling me, I wouldn't want to live there. Not for $1 million. I'd probably go to jail for killing a couple of people.
I live in the Adirondacks.
Well, guys,
where it's cool to marry your cousin.
Hey, roll tide.
My cousin was hot.
Uh-oh.
My cousin was hot.
I know a woman here who brags that she's related to everyone in town.
Oh, jeez.
Nice.
See y'all later. Nice meeting you.
All right, man. Nice meeting you.
Yeah, Evans. Have a good one, man.
You.
Yeah, you guys, I gotta call it quits too, because it's getting late on my end.
I have to go to bed because I had too much too much out. Too much cold today, even though I love the cold.
Yeah,
Cold
it's
and
getting cold here
hungry
too.
do not go well together.
Well,
No.
I'm going to finish my bottle and I'm going to make the mouse breakfast.
Oh,
Nice.
what does the mouse eat for breakfast?
I make him scrambled eggs.
Oh, man.
Aww,
Kind of jealous.
that's so sweet.
That's
The
it. I'm
wife
coming
gets
back as a cat
coffee.
in my next life.
Yeah, the mouse gets eggs and the wife gets a coffee.
Yeah.
Aww, mouse.
Yeah, because since I'm retired literally. I don't work. That's what I do. I'm the house dude. I'm the house man.
The house food. That's actually not a bad thing.
That actually makes
Nope.
me very, very happy, though.
Oh,
Yeah,
Mouse
for
is
sure.
thrilled, especially when I put a little bit of ginger and ham in the eggs. He loves that shit.
Oh yeah, especially the ham.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Good
I
swim,
enjoyed the
kitty.
show.
Thank you.
Yep,
for
and I enjoyed hanging out with you guys, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Always a
Okay.
pleasure. And
We
thanks
won't go
everyone
visit
for
the
watching. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, chat. Love you guys. You guys rule. See you later, Jen, Reese, Christy,
See you, Faye.
Shane,
Bye-bye.
Faye, Neil. See you guys later.
You betcha. Cheers. Thanks, everyone.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I made it. I'm so proud of myself. And here, I thought I was gonna fall asleep on you.
Haha.
Very good.
Go to bed. You sound tired.
I really am. I spent the whole day in a parking garage.
Nice, I guess. I'm a notorious insomniac. I'll be awake for a while still.
Well, at least you had the mouse.
That's true.
Send me a picture of mouse.
Yeah, I'll snap a photo of him and put it up on the twit.
Okay, excellent.
Alrighty, I will talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.